So to kick things off here, we will get through the NFC South rumors, and we will start things off with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And for Tampa Bay, the first rumor on the board, Chris Godwin. Will he start at wide receiver, Tom?
Get aboard the hype train, folks. We got ourselves a Chris Godwin hype train this offseason. We're only going to give it the 2 heads for now, but I do think it makes some sense here because the Bucs are very much hyping up Chris Godwin overall. Bucs OC said that he sees him as a starter. So how about that one there, Cam? So Godwin, and this comes, by the way, with Mike Evans, Deshaun Jackson, and Adam Humphries all already at the wide receiver position here for the Bucs. So
all capable players, too.
Very intriguing to me that this is what's going on with the Bucs here with Chris Godwin. Look, I liked him coming out of Penn State. Didn't play a whole lot. Did do some good things when he had the chance, but I'm very intrigued by this one, Cam.
He's got some speed. He's got some ability. 2017 put up an average of 15.4 yards per catch. Only Juju Smith-Schuster was better than him among the wide receivers drafted before him, if that makes any sense at all. So
yes, it does.
Certainly panned out in terms of the return on investment there at the wide receiver position. So Chris Godwin could certainly make some noise, maybe a sleeper in fantasy football circles as well, Tom.
Yeah.
So
I'm very curious to see what happens there.
All right, so 2 Goodell heads there firmly in the rumor category. Let's get to the next rumor on the list for the Buccaneers. Jason Pierre-Paul and Brent Grimes. Are they not present at OTAs? Yeah, they're not. 4 heads, Tom.
Yeah, they haven't showed up yet, which is at least a little bit concerning. Like, let's not panic because it is OTAs and they're voluntary, but they're really not voluntary because you're really kind of supposed to be there. But it is just kind of like, they're not there. And Dirk Koetter said in a perfect world he'd have perfect attendance at the voluntary OTAs. But these are both guys I think you'd like to see show up because A, JPP hasn't been with the Bucs before this, and Brent Grimes is 34, so maybe, it's okay. But the Bucs brought in a lot of different cornerbacks. Carlton Davis comes in, MJ Stewart comes over. You'd like to see JPP get some action in there early on in OTAs, but nothing to panic about quite yet, but it is worth mentioning even though it is OTAs.
A lot of big-time players, Tom, are not present at OTAs. Julio Jones, we'll talk about him later. Zach Martin as well. Tom Brady, for crying out loud.
Yes.
So sometimes not the biggest deal in the world there. So 4 Goodell heads on JPP and Brent Grimes currently not being present. We'll see if they show for mandatory minicamp. All right, let's go to rumor number 3. Jameis Winston, does he try too hard in the pregame festivities? He's eating that W there. You like that picture?
I'm really glad we picked the photo because when I grabbed this rumor, I'm like, oh, this had better be the photo that we use. And he's right. It's yes and no. I think that first off, Tom Monaghan says he needs to tone down his antics and should just be himself. But my issue is, I kind of think this is Jameis Winston being himself.
Well, that's what I'm arguing, Tom. Honestly, why are you criticizing somebody and telling them to be themselves when they are actually being themselves on the football field? It doesn't make any sense. And by the way, Todd Monken should probably focus on actually producing points for the Buccaneers and devising up creative plays rather than criticizing Jameis Winston. Come on.
Well, yeah, in general, I don't like the Bucs coaching staff, namely Dirk Koetter, who we'll get to here in just a second. But I do think it kind of makes some sense to let Winston maybe chill. So I think on the field, too, he tries to do so much stuff. He's always trying to carry the team. I think that's an issue and why he hasn't played as well at times either.
All right, so 2 Goodell heads there on Jameis Winston. I really don't know what he is going to do in terms of a response to this. I think he's going to continue with his antics, and that's just who he is. Now, with that, do you think Jameis Winston is the franchise quarterback for the Bucs? Give us a heart for yes, a laughing face for no. I'm still on yes, but it's been teetering lately.
I still believe in Jameis Winston, but I definitely think there's some doubt there because he hasn't been the same player that NFL team, the Bucs were hoping he was going to be. Now, I blame most of that on the coaching staff, but I do have some doubts about him overall. I think that he needs to be a better player there.
All right, let's go to rumor number 4 for the Bucs. Dirk Koetter, is he on the hot seat? 4 heads, Tom. This is a surefire thing. He's in trouble if he struggles.
I didn't do my fun normal note of just saying, well, duh, he is. But yeah, Dirk Koetter is on the hot seat with that out here. Friend to Cam, I think you and I agree on this. He should have been fired last year.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. He should not have been the head coach for the Bucs this year. Now, he gets another chance, and hopefully things change for Tampa Bay because I do think there is some talent there overall, but is Dirk Koetter going to be the guy to get the most out of it?
And I don't know. This was a team that had a lot of expectations going into 2017. They did not live up to them whatsoever in that 5-11 campaign, and now Dirk Koetter, his seat is big time hot, and we'll see if he can kind of combat the adversity that was last year. He's got an uphill climb, but he's got a lot of talent on that team, so the offense should have no excuses to be in the bottom half in passing or rushing. They got some talent on both areas there on that offensive side. For Goodell heads there, we do have a weigh-in. Who will be the first NFL head coach to be fired in 2018? It's one of your favorite questions, Tom, that you like to ask the audience.
I still think it's going to be Hugh Jackson, because I would imagine that if the Bucs start the year even just 0-6, they're going to say, or the Browns, excuse me, they're going to say, dude, come on. Like, you're like almost 1-40 now. How are you still there?
But Koetter could be in that conversation too.
I think Koetter is. If the Bucs again have a bad start, if they start 1-7, 0-7, 1-8, whatever, and they're out of the playoff race early, then that could be the case where they make a change.
Okay, let's get to rumor number 5 here for the Buccaneers. O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate, are they the best tight end duo in the National Football League? Kind of weird to say, Tom, but we feel pretty good about this. 3 Goodell heads on this.
I mean, I was going to be like, oh, there's no way. And then I kind of thought about it more and more, and I'm like, who's better?
Right.
Like, what options here are better than O.J. Howard and Cam Brate? And that's a big question. And we'll get these graphics kind of moved on here to the player card in the photo as well for Howard and Brate. Like, you could make the argument, I think, last year, Zach Ertz and Trey Burton, or Gronk and Bennett, and I guess Gronk and whomever was playing there. But who's really better here? Like, is it Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert, who I really like, but we haven't seen Goedert actually play? Or maybe, if healthy, Jordan Reed, Vernon Davis? Like, I just don't know where to go outside of these 2 guys, Cam.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, O.J. Howard's a talented guy, Cameron Brate as well. These guys are big-time basketball-sized players with a little more beef on them that can certainly make some noise in the red zone. They were a big reason why there was a lot of expectations for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers back in 2017, because you thought, okay, you had Howard, you had Brate, you got, of course, Evans on the outside, and a solid offensive line that certainly went through its fair share of injuries in 2017. But Howard and Brate were kind of part of the driving force behind the hype of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I will say this, they both have a lot of ability, a lot of talent, and certainly inside the top 3 in terms of tight end duos in the National Football League there. So 3 Goodell heads on that. Let's go to rumor number 6. Will rookie running back Ronald Jones start for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Firmly in the rumor category here. We're giving it 2 Goodell heads, but Tom, he's got to beat out the likes of Sims and Jacquizz Rodgers to get there.
I like Peyton Barber too. I think Peyton Barber early on might be your #1 guy at the running back spot, but I do think there's a very good chance that Ronald Jones is going to be ready to go here for the Bucs. And I like Ronald Jones a lot, so I'm going to give it with 2 heads for now. Maybe not necessarily in week 1 he's the starter, but Cam, I'd be very surprised if by the end of week 2 he's not the starter.
Yeah, I mean, Ronald Jones, he's an interesting cat, if you will, on this depth chart at the running back position. Firmly in the rumor category right now, but who's to say that Ronald can't really impress Monken and the rest of that offensive staff and rises up the depth chart?
I think he will. Because I think he gives you the explosiveness the Bucs halfbacks have not had in quite some time. Jones will bust off 20-plus yard runs. The Bucs have had no one that can really do that on a consistent basis in some time. Jones brings that game-breaking ability that the Bucs have desperately needed at the running back spot. I think he'll be that guy for Tampa Bay going forward.
All right, so 2 Goodell heads there. That's the rundown with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers rumors.